I made a video a few months back where I explain what happened to the other Kratos from God of War 2. This one, right here. You see, I believe that before Kratos meddled with fate, turned back time and killed the Sisters of Fate, there was only one timeline, one version of Kratos and one version of our universe. But once Kratos went back in time and killed the Fates, he splintered our reality into two. And he would go back and forth between his original timeline and the second timeline he created to bring back the Titans and have them fight his war. The reason no other timeline existed before was because the Sisters of Fate had everything under control, but Kratos is meddling complicated things. And the fact that there are minor differences between the timelines confirms that this is not the same timeline that Kratos existed in. I know it's a bit confusing, but there are two different timelines. What differences, you might ask? Zeus's dialogue in Timeline 1 is different from his dialogue in Timeline 2. Listen to Zeus's dialogue in this timeline.
Even now, as you draw your last breath, you continue to defy me! Everything you have ever known, Kratos, will now suffer because of your sacrilege.
And then listen to his dialogue in this timeline.
Even now, as you draw your last breath, you continue to defy me? No matter.
It's not the same. If Kratos was simply going back in time and not traversing between two different timelines at different points, Zeus's dialogue should be the same. So this confirms that there are two different timelines or two different universes, however you want to put it. Look, here's a diagram I made. We will call the original timeline Timeline 1, and the second made timeline Timeline 2. First, our Kratos from God of War 2, the original Kratos, goes back in time, from Timeline 1 to Timeline 2, to reobtain the Blade of Olympus and fight Zeus. And then, when he weakens him and Athena dies, our Kratos returns to his timeline, Timeline 1, only to go back further in time to Timeline 2 and recruit the Titans to bring them back to when he weakened Zeus in Timeline 2. Our Kratos from Timeline 1 would then stay in Timeline 2 indefinitely. So, what about the other Kratos we see here? This Kratos, let's call him Kratos 2, would be resurrected, just our Kratos was. He would be resurrected to go off and kill the Sisters of Fate in his timeline, in Timeline 2, and then travel back in time to Timeline 1 to fight Zeus, then back to his timeline, Timeline 2, to go back further in time to Timeline 1 to recruit the Titans and bring them back to when he weakened Zeus in Timeline 1, where he would remain indefinitely. So Kratos 2 would do everything that Kratos 1 did, but slightly differently. Just like how Zeus's dialogue was a bit different, Kratos' behavior in Timeline 2 is a little bit different from our Kratos. For example, one thing that was majorly different in our timeline compared to Timeline 2, in our timeline, Kratos 2 would come and fight Zeus after we had already died and we've been swallowed by the earth and into Hades' underworld. But in Timeline 2, our Kratos goes back in time before Kratos even dies. I know this is all really complicated, but it makes sense. Just keep rewatching this video and try to understand what I'm saying. Look at the diagram. This is why Zeus attacked Sparta in God of War 2, to assert his dominance after he had thrown Kratos off of Mount Olympus. Because yeah, at one point, two Kratoses coexisted at the same time. Technically, the events of God of War 2 and God of War 3 happen at the same time, until the Kratos from God of War 2 finds the Fates and traverses to the other timeline where again, he would remain indefinitely. But doesn't this sound familiar? The same thing is happening again, but with Jormungandr. Two timelines. Atreus whispers a soul into the serpent at these points on each of the timeline. Thor sends the serpent back in time at these points on each of the timelines. And the serpent appears in Midgard at these points on each of the timelines. Serpent 1 is whispered a soul into Timeline 1, only to be thrown back in time to Timeline 2 by Thor. And Serpent 2 is whispered a soul into in Timeline 2, only to be thrown back in time to Timeline 1 by Thor. So the Serpent we see in 2018 is actually Serpent 1 from Timeline 1, because our Kratos stayed in Timeline 2 and he never went back to his original timeline. Boom. Mind blown, right? This is the only explanation I could think of that makes sense. If you have any questions though, suggestions or even theories, comment them down below and I'll go over them in the next reading your God of War comments video. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see ya.